Hey everybody, welcome back to the NC State on SI Insider Podcast. I'm your host and lead beat writer for the NC State Wolfpack, Tucker Sennett. It's good to be here. Excited to talk more Wolfpack football today. That's our topic. With week one right around the corner, I'm sure a lot of Wolfpack fans know who that week one opponent is. A bitter rival now, in-state rival, especially after what we're going to talk about today. The East Carolina University Pirates are coming to Raleigh in just a few weeks to open up the 2025 season for NC State. Um, Things didn't end with this team very well last time these two got together. Um, that was the 2024 Military Bowl, which is what we'll be doing a deep dive on today. Um, that game was certainly eventful, if you want to put it that way. NC State entered that game 6-6, sort of a disappointing season after, high expectations. Things fell apart quickly with Grayson McCall's medical issues and it just never really clicked for the team last year, but they still were bowl eligible, um, trying to snap a four-game bowl losing streak going into that game. Didn't happen. ECU was a quality opponent in that game. They finished that season 7-5 in the American and had a quality year. Quarterback Caden Hauser was solid for them in 9 games, and they had a really strong rushing attack with Rajay Harris, who excelled. He finished the season with over 1,000 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns, and he ended up being the difference in this game. ECU would go on to win this game 26 to 21 behind an electrifying performance from Harris, who just absolutely dominated. He finished the game with 220 yards rushing on 17 carries, and of course, capped things off with an 86-yard game-winning touchdown run late in the fourth quarter, just absolutely carving that NC State defense apart. Not how things not how Dave Doran and NC State wanted things to end last year. It was sort of a, a cherry on top of a season full of finding ways to lose in a lot of ways. Just ugly. Yeah, not much more to say than that, but we'll find things to say. I'll tell you that. What went wrong for NC State in this game? A lot. A lot went wrong. It was sort of an inefficient first half for the NC State offense. They sort of sputtered out of the gate. They were only able to score 7 points in that first half, and they had opportunities to score. They actually missed a field goal and had a turnover on downs deep in ECU territory, but just couldn't convert. And they actually didn't punt in the they did not punt in the first half. So not not sure what happened with that offense led by CJ Bailey and Hollywood Smothers, but just couldn't make it work. And they actually didn't score in the third quarter either. And ECU had jumped out to a 20-7 lead by the end of the third quarter. So NC State was in some trouble, but this is where they showed some signs of promise. They exploded for 14 fourth quarter points. They actually had a impressive touchdown where CJ Bailey was under pressure and dropped back, sort of hands in his face, reared back and found star tight end Justin Jolie for a 15-yard touchdown because he just kind of took the top off the defense and had a nifty route out of the slot. Um, and there was nobody near him. I mean, they were 3 or 4 yards behind him when he when he hauled that one in. And then the other touchdown came a little bit later. Hollywood Smothers on a kind of unique, I don't want to call it a flea flicker, but it was a trick play of sorts, sort of a reverse play, um, back to Bailey where Smothers was on the outside, ready for a screen pass with road graders in front of him, and he took off for a long touchdown run on a screen pass. And NC State was in front. I mean, they had control of the game late in the fourth quarter, and they had their opportunities to put this one away. Hauser, the ECU quarterback, was struggling in that fourth quarter, and that started where NC State looked to be in control after he threw a not bad interception, but it was a great play by the NC State defensive back. I'll try and find a name on that for you. Um, Tremendous play by that defensive back. I believe it was. I don't have it in this second, but I will get back to you on that. Great play. Went up, took the ball right out of the receiver's hands, and that was with 7 minutes, and NC State just couldn't get anything going on that drive. Bailey, sort of looked like a true freshman a lot in this game, and it was just not an impressive showing by any means in the fourth quarter after those two touchdowns. And ECU got the ball back, and Hauser threw another pick. This one was sort of a unbelievable tip drill type interception, and the the Wolfpack came away with it with 4 minutes left. You think this game was over, and they just couldn't manufacture any drives in this game, which ended up being the nail in the coffin for the Wolfpack as ECU got the ball back and on a 3rd and 10 play, 3rd and 10. I mean, unbelievable. Rajay Harris carved through the NC State defense and didn't take off for just a first down. He took off for an 86-yard touchdown to end this game. Just ugly, really ugly. And that was with just about a minute and a half left, to kind of just put an end to this game. And NC State couldn't generate anything on that last drive, and that was it. Or was it? That wasn't quite it. There, this game was marred by not the disappointment on the field, but also the disappointment off the field, or not, okay, not off the field, but disappointment not with the game, but with what happened. And that was with 44 seconds left in the game. NC State defensive back Tamarcus Cooley, who was one of the players who had actually, no, he was not. Never mind. He had gotten into an altercation with an East Carolina player, and it was a shoving match. It got ugly fast. Eventually, the benches cleared. And if you were watching this game, you remember this more than you remember the actual game. Benches cleared. It was ugly, 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 ugly. And an official was actually knocked in the head. And I'm sure you've seen the photos. This guy's got a big gash under his eye, trying to break up the fight, and it was just not a good scene for either program. Dave Doran is still embarrassed months later. He actually brought this up ahead of the rematch in a few weeks. That he doesn't want this to be a stain on the NC State program, a program that he's been with for over a decade, a program where he's made his name as the sixth longest tenured college football coach currently, um, which is impressive because there's some guys that have been out there for a while in Division One. I mean, you got Kyle Whittingham in Utah, Kirk Ferentz and Iowa. Those guys have been there for a very long time. So Doran's really made a legacy. But this brawl was ugly. Several players were ejected from the game with just 44 seconds left, and um, it just wasn't. It was a bitter way to end the season, compounded on an already really disappointing season in general. That loss stung, and it brought back into conversation that bowl losing streak. That was the fifth straight bowl loss for the Wolfpack, which is disappointing for a team that has been in bowl games frequently during this coach's tenure. You have to go back to 2017 when the Wolfpack played in the Sun Bowl against Arizona State in El Paso. That was their last bowl victory. Just an unfortunate development, but they won that game 52-31 over Arizona State. And let me tell you um, who sort of the stars of that game were. Ryan Finley was playing quarterback for the Wolfpack, and Naheem Hines was in the backfield. He actually scored three touchdowns in that game. And obviously, if you're familiar with Naheem Hines, you know he went on to have a very nice career in the NFL as a sort of gadget running back, most notably with the Colts. And it's safe to say NC State's really hungry to avenge this loss. That's been sort of a talking point in this first week of camp that this game's been circled for a while. They want to make sure that they make a point here. Um, they they want to worry about their rivals in the research triangle. They don't want to have to worry about ECU. And it's important for them to establish that sort of dominance over a team that's not in a power conference. NC State leads the all-time series 19-14, but they've they've sort of you know over the last 15 years, they've struggled against this team. ECU actually won three games in a row between 2010 and 2016. Then the Wolfpack won three in a row. Obviously had that pretty incredible game back in 2022 where they just eked out that 1 point win when they entered the season ranked number 13. That was a exciting early season game for the Wolfpack. Probably not enjoyable for Wolfpack fans who had big expectations for that year, but it was as impartial viewers, it was an enjoyable football game and an electric atmosphere out in Greenville. But it's safe to say that everybody that's back from that team last year wants to prove a point in this season opener, and they're going to do their best. That's safe to say. They're really taking it 1 week at a time rather than looking at this whole season. And it starts with that week one game. They simply cannot overlook this ECU team. And we'll go more in depth on what ECU looks like with stories and podcasts over the coming weeks before that game, but it just felt like a good opportunity as we are steaming towards Wolfpack football again in 2025 to revisit not a great moment in this program's history, but an important one because they're hoping that the stain and the disappointment of that loss launches this team on an upward trajectory. That's all I got today for the NC State Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Tucker Sennett. Feel free to follow on X at Sennett Tucker and at Wolfpack on SI for stories and news about your NC State Wolfpack. Have a good day, everybody.